You're listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, changing rock history one podcast at a time. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. My name is Lou Lombardi. I am your host of this madcap weekly thing that we do. We are all healed up from our illnesses from last week. Got tested for the you know what? I'm really kind of tired of this, so I'm tired of censoring myself. So I got tested for the Kung flu and the regular flu.
Oh, thank you.
And came up negative, even though I felt like shit. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Who knows?
I was just hungover.
Well, that's not all that surprising.
Oh,
you know.
Shocker.
Oh, Lily. Shaka. Like Shaka Khan?
Like that, yes.
LilyCon. There should be a conference called LilyCon.
Oh.
Don't you think?
No, I don't.
Can you kill that light?
Kill it.
Thank you. I can still see in the other room, but that's all right.
I'll close it.
No, don't close the door. We'll roast. Later on, we'll go and shut the other light off.
We'll have to take our
All right,
clothes
guys.
off.
It is the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. We are back once again. I want to welcome you. Go to LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. And I always want to say download the app. That's RockRageRadio.com.
Yeah,
Download
come
the
on
app.
now.
LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. Please sign up. This gives you access to knowing when all the podcasts are going to happen, because while we typically go live on Monday nights, sometimes things happen, Lily, and we don't go live on Monday nights. And we go live another night, and you want to keep up with things like that. Also, speaking of going live, you get access to our private Facebook group. Why do you want to do that? I know Facebook sucks. Facebook is terrible. It's one of the worst things in the world. However, this is where we go, where you can interact with us live during our live podcasts, and throw stuff at us, tell us dirty jokes, ask questions, which we will probably ignore usually. But we do make an effort. We try to say hey to everybody who's in the thing here. So I don't know if anybody's in there. Nobody's made a comment yet.
No, we've got people watching.
Okay, cool. So anyways, welcome everybody watching. So you can find out more about that at LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com, RockRageRadio.com. Download what kind of app is it, Lily?
Free.
It's free.
Nice.
It's free. I feel free.
Is that what you feel?
I feel free.
I'm glad.
Free.
I feel like a freak show. Some of the
Free to
time.
be you and me.
Oh, nice.
I feel free to be me. Okay, hang
You
on,
gotta
Nelly.
be
Let's do.
free.
There we go.
All the things.
All right, so we don't have good levels on.
Oh, my.
Oh,
We didn't do
no.
levels before we started.
I know. I
This
jumped right
is
in and started
a
playing.
professional
You got
show.
excited, that's why.
I go all excited.
He's a
I couldn't help
professional
myself.
kids. Don't
Mr.
try
Lily,
this
I
at
couldn't
home.
help myself. I
Miss.
got too
There we
excited.
go.
Okay, I'll
That's
have to
better.
edit later. This just
See?
whenever shit like that. Like I didn't record the music that I played at the beginning.
Nah,
And it's a
whatever.
that
So,
was really
That
good.
was actually
dude.
That was actually pretty good.
I was
It was
thinking like
delightful.
something like a new guitar really inspires you, and that sounded great.
What I've been trying to do though is get more relaxed when we hit the live thing, because usually when I know it's live, like I immediately just start. I'm overthinking.
Yes,
Of course you are.
You know,
Yes.
do you Kev or Lily, either one of you guys? Do either one of you guys know who Vinnie Colaiuta is?
I know that name.
No, I don't.
Really famous drummers. He's like on everybody.
Vinnie.
Him and Steve Gadd are like on everybody's albums, but Vinnie Colaiuta is like one of the highest requested drummers. Played with Sting and a bunch of people.
Okay.
But
Nice.
one of his famous sayings is, "Thought is the enemy of flow."
Yeah.
Ah.
So the more you're trying to think about something to play, the more you're just going to sound terrible. You just have to chill, know what you're doing, and do it. And I've been practicing this for a while, so I'm getting a little bit better. I'm getting a little bit better at it. That was the best one I played, and of course, it wasn't recorded. It's all right. It's all right.
Right?
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I can record something real quick and put it at the beginning if I choose to, or I could just mix it up this time and not do it. That's all right. It's all good.
It's a shame.
So anyway, rockrageradio.com. Download the app. Why would you want to do that? Because you can hear great music programming, way more professional music programming, I might add, where people don't forget to like check their levels and everything before they start recording.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things that's one of the hallmarks of the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus is the sort of loose professional attitude that we have here. You know, we're like light on professional.
That's how we
It's
roll.
raw and real.
You got it. You got it. And I need a shave.
Oh boy.
So
Right
maybe
now?
when Lily's reading something, I'll run up and shave real quick.
Oh my God.
That's a joke.
Heavens.
So, speaking of Lily V6, Wolf's Customs.
Nice segue.
That-
Again, we're professionals.
I don't like this microphone. This mic. What is this? It's not a microphone.
It's
It's
called
a camera.
That is called a
I don't like it.
camera.
Hold on. This is dry. Oh, okay, that's
There you
better.
go. That's better.
That's more like
Okay.
what I'm used to seeing.
Good. All right.
I'm getting used to it. Did anybody ever say that? Did anybody have parents or anything that or children that said instead of used to it, they would say used to it?
No.
Not used to. I'm getting used to
I
it.
think Russian kids say
Yes,
that.
for he played.
Used to
Vinny
it.
Colaiuta played with Frank Zappa.
Yes.
That's where him and Stevie Vai met. Try not to look at my fatness.
What is going on this podcast today?
I had to. I'm sweating my dick off.
Really?
Down here.
How did it happen?
Well, I started sweating.
Look, my face is all red and blotchy. Oh my god. Makeup.
You're thinking too much about
I'm
this.
teasing. I'm just having fun with myself.
Oh, again? The third time today.
But Wolf's Customs. Sorry, I started.
Let's get back. I digest. Okay.
If we ever had sponsors that paid us big money, they'd
Yeah.
be like, Loudini, get your shit together.
We need to talk.
Go to wolfscustoms.online or find them on social media. Why? Because
Why?
they do amazing refinishing of musical instruments. Guitars, basses, drums, swinette, ukulele, kazoo, whatever
Piccolo.
your thing is. What was that?
Piccolo.
Piccolo, jaw harp.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm going to send Chris a jaw harp and say,
You
can
know what?
I want hollow flash
Yep.
on my jaw harp.
That would be fun. Challenge.
You don't hear a lot of jaw harp these days.
No, you don't, sir.
You don't. Anyways, Wolf's Customs, they do amazing custom finishes on musical instruments. Just great guys. I've been prattling on about them for actually years on the podcast. Chris is an awesome dude. Sent me that awesome switch plate behind us there. So cool. Good job. Chris Thunderwolf Dotson and company. Check them out. Okay. What is going on? We need to introduce the folks here. So we have in sitting to my right the lovely and talented Miss Lily V6.
What's up, all? I didn't do any shows except for Wasp, where I was hungover, and then we missed the show. So there's that.
No.
And nothing coming up until the 30th, where I will be at a Monomarth at Stage AE with
You'll be at a
Sissy.
what?
A Monomarth. It's a metal band.
That's fun to say.
Say that 10 times fast.
Didn't the Monomarth fight Godzilla once? That was awesome.
I don't think that's a thing, but okay.
I don't be talking about Godzilla, man.
I
Don't
know.
be talking
That's
smack on Godzilla.
Utmost respect.
I love Godzilla. They say he's got to go.
No.
Go,
I've heard that.
Yeah.
go, Godzilla. That was the complaint about the 1996 Godzilla, was they left the god out of Godzilla. He was more like a giant. A lot of
Yeah.
people complain he was just a giant dinosaur. Although I did like that design. I thought it was cool. I'm completly digressing. We're off the tables here.
Whatever.
Sorry.
Lily V6 is not Godzilla.
No.
But
I
she
could
might
be.
be the Godzilla of... Well, she's kind of like Godzuki. Remember Godzuki?
Oh, yeah. Aw.
No, I'm just kidding. So Lily is a jock on Rock Rage Radio. We are very honored and happy to have her as part of the Loudini family. Lily, what's going on? You didn't go to any shows,
Except for the Wasp show on that Sunday, where we didn't have the show the next day here.
but then we did go to something else.
We did go to Leadsmith that Wednesday. And that's a combination Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith tribute band. They're very fun. They take it seriously. Dude can transform from Steven Tyler to Robert Plant phenomenally. Loved it. Sounded great. Lou enjoyed it. It was his first time seeing them.
I have a question because I missed the Aerosmith part.
Yeah.
When they performed when they did the Led Zeppelin thing, they were 4-piece. Did they have another guitarist when they did?
No.
Oh, so they did it as
Yep.
they still did it as a 4-piece.
Yep. But they sound great.
Just
They
curious.
sound great. And they added a lot of different songs. I think they added Jaded and Hangman Jury, which is one of my favorite Aerosmith songs. So I was super excited to hear that one played because even Aerosmith doesn't play that at their live shows. So it's awesome.
That's cool. That's fun. I had an argument with a friend after the fact. You had posted it on Facebook, and this guy was going on and on. He was up in my face about how tribute bands suck and all this stuff.
Oh, they're supposed to be fun.
Exactly. Also, they are playing the greatest music. Most of these tribute bands are playing the greatest music of all time. The music from the late 60s through the early 70s. That's
the golden era.
Yeah, that's the most important music. And then moving through for the 70s and 80s, and of course some of the 90s. But that is it. And that music, a lot of people never got to see these bands. I didn't get to see Led Zeppelin.
I did
so
not.
when I go hear a good Zeppelin tribute band, it's like it's just celebrating the music. I don't know. I saw Brit Floyd many years ago.
I've seen them.
I would love to see him again. I always seem to kind of find out too late. Oh, they were here last night. I'm like, oh.
You're like, damn it.
And that's exactly what they did too. It was like a celebration of Pink Floyd music. They ran like stuff on big video screens behind them, like kind of giving the story of Pink Floyd.
Yes,
And as
yes,
they
I
would do
remember that.
things that featured different members, they would come up and like show the members as they grew through the band and stuff like that.
That's cool.
So it was like a just like it's a night of celebrating the music of Pink Floyd, and I sort of felt that way about Led Smith. Like nobody there thought that they were listening to Led Zeppelin. It just sounded like great versions, really well executed.
Right.
And it's just
Led Zeppelin
fun.
song.
It's fun to go and dance to and listen to the music and just enjoy your evening.
Jess.
Not to be taken.
And the best part about it was how much that show cost as much as a Rock Rage Radio app, doesn't it?
It did. It was
Nice.
free. It was a free show. It was customer appreciation night, so they had a free show, which was awesome.
Freak show.
Yes, that too.
They had a freak
You
show.
saw Sissy and I there. You understand.
Sissy. So that was that was really cool. I was in what they do there is they pipe the music into the little ceiling speakers in the bathroom.
Yes.
And it's really naked. Like the sound is like it's totally. So if you're like a singer's a little out of tune, like Dawkins, you could tell like was a little off. Some different bands, but these guys, you went in the bathroom and was listening to these cheesy speakers and real dry, like mixed right off the soundboard, and they sounded great.
Yeah.
So it's like the vocals are great,
Nice.
rhythm section was tight, the guitar sounded awesome. That's a hallmark of some guys that know what the hell they're doing.
Yes.
I thought they were really good,
They're fantastic.
super fun,
And
you
really
said-
nice guys.
And you said they're like a regional
Yeah, they're like the Ohio tri-state area.
tri-state.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Okay.
But they are looking to play here more, so we're going to try to help them do that.
I would I would definitely go again. It was a good time. Led Smith, check them out. We have some new and notables coming up a little bit later on. Excuse me, it's been a little belchy today, Mr. Pittsburgh.
Hey, everybody. So, Lily.
Oh, God.
No. No. She's a good witch. Anyway, so Lils.
What?
You're pretty well known. You've got your fans.
I'm Pittsburgh famous.
I've
Sure.
heard you talk about being out and being recognized.
Yeah.
And people come up and talk to you, right? So
Yeah.
that pretty much never happens to Lou and I. Pretty much never happens to Lou and I.
Did it
right?
happen?
So today, Lou and I, we were out and about doing stuff. We had to stop into a store, walk in together. We walked by these two guys.
What's going on?
I told you it never happens to us.
Oh.
So we just walked right by them, and it was, but I'm like, oh.
I love getting recognized. It's
yeah.
fun.
We're like, oh.
It's
So we
like,
just-
you're Lily Six.
We bought our colored folders and left Staples. I felt
I
a little
hate you.
sad. I'm like, wow.
Maybe
Yes,
this
someday.
one's- Maybe.
someday.
Maybe.
No, Lou gets recognized sometimes,
Yeah.
but usually they're saying, "Is that Lou?" To me.
Is that Lou?
Yeah, that's Lou.
Lou, can you introduce us to Lily? That's what happens there.
I didn't
I'm a
run into
girl.
other than running into you guys. I didn't run into anybody else I knew at that show.
I didn't see anyone else either. Yeah.
Yeah. I think too, because I think a lot of musicians have a bug up their butt about tribute bands, so they didn't go and support it
Which is sad. It's very
because
sad.
they have a bug up their butt.
Right up their butt, Lou. Ow.
We can't have
Exit
it's
only.
I don't agree with it, but anyway, so that's what's going on.
I support
We had
all
a
the
good time.
things.
I support all the things,
All the things.
Yeah, all the things, all the time.
all the things, all the time. Who's watching?
That guy.
Bill Damiano
Bill.
and Hal Cohen
Okay, what's
and Rocky Lamond.
Rocky.
So Sting
Yes.
and
Paul.
Paul.
Paul McCartney.
So they had Sting and Paul McCartney have similar career paths. If you think about it, they were both in really iconic bands about 10 years apart.
Right.
So the Police come on the scene like 1977, something like that. The Beatles started in the late 60s, mid to late 60s, over by the early 70s. The Police have a similar kind of path. They do about 10 years, 8 years, whatever. Then Sting goes off and has a massive solo career and becomes like a kind of cultural icon of the era.
Right.
Just kind of very, very recognizable, really, for at least 2 decades. In the 90s as well. Paul McCartney, very similar, the Beatles, of course, and then goes on and does Wings and has a bunch of other projects and solo things that he does and works with a lot of famous people, just like Sting goes out and does records with other, puts out songs with other famous people. Paul McCartney works with Michael Jackson. You got Sting working with people like Bryan Adams and different stuff like that, and collaborating on different things. Okay, both bass players. Both really well-loved bass players, by the way, influential bass players. A lot of people,
Right.
Both great singers.
Yes.
Both great songwriters.
Right.
Yes.
Interesting, right? Right. So
Yes.
now we have to kind of just have to put this out there because Paul McCartney has the unfair advantage in the sense that he's got like a 10-year head start, 10, 12-year head start on Sting. I don't know, and I've never heard Sting say this, but it just seems to me that Sting sort of was chasing kind of what Paul McCartney was doing, in the sense that, doing the band thing, then doing the solo thing, doing the collab thing. The thing about the Police, though, is they did reunite. The Beatles never reunited, but the Police did reunite for what they did. What did they tour? About 3 years, 2-3 years?
I think so.
Where they kind of just, to kind of give everybody a big, everybody's been bugging us to get back together. And
Here's
do
your chance.
something. So they went and they did all that, and there's DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff of all that sort of thing. The Beatles, of course, did not have the opportunity to do that because members kept dying.
Yeah.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney, though, is still putting out really good records. He's not crushing the pop charts, but the independent and the college stations play him.
Yeah.
And it's solid stuff. I have not heard his new record, although I have heard that it is pretty good. So that's to his credit, because a lot of guys from that classic rock era, what are they doing? They're just touring on their hits.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he is going out. My sort of criticism of him is that he should play that music live. I don't think he's doing much of it live, and he should be playing. He should be treating it just like.
That would be a sold-out show every time.
Yeah.
Just keep just as if he put touring on his new record. Yes, I'm going to play. I'm going to do a medley of my hits or whatever, but I'm going to mostly play a lot of stuff from my new record. Sting, of course, is he's still a viable artist. Again, he's moved into that album adult alternative sound, like a lot of people have, like Springsteen has, like John Mellencamp has, like a lot of they've moved into this different thing. So people over the age of like 40 and up, who listen to, like here in Pittsburgh, we have WYEP. You know, they're buying those records and,
Right.
and listening to that music. And you know, just like Paul McCartney, so Sting. So they have very similar things going on. So what I would like to do is, who would you want to start with, Lil? I know Lily's going to get background up here. You start with Sting.
Yeah, Sting's first on
Let's
my
go ahead and do some
paperwork here.
Sting.
So as Lou said, bassist for the Police from 1977 to their breakup in 86, then the reunion. His solo career started in 85. He includes elements of rock, jazz, reggae, classical, new age, world beat, all those things. He's not shy to try anything new. He received many awards, 17 Grammys, 3 Brit Awards, a Golden Globe, an Emmy. Every Breath You Take has a BMI award, becoming the most played song in radio history.
Bowel Movement International.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that.
My.
With the Police, Sting became one of the world's best-selling artists. Solo and with the Police combined, he has sold over 100 million records. And also, Lou said he collaborated on a bunch of stuff. The one I'm going to mention is Money for Nothing with the Dire Straits.
Oh yeah.
There are several others. I'm not reading the whole list.
Tell you a story about that, but go ahead.
He visited nightclubs when he was younger to see Cream and Man for Man, who were his influences. He gained his nickname after his habit of wearing a black and yellow jumper with hooped stripes with the Phoenix. I totally threw something off there. I missed something. Anyways, whenever he was singing Phoenix Jasmine, he wore this outfit that made him look like a wasp. So he got the name.
The
Sting.
guys we call him Sting.
Yeah. He's one of the artists who have become involved in human rights since 1981. So he does all of those charitable concerts, the big ones like Band-Aid and Live Aid and all the things I don't
Amnesty
even know. Live
International.
8. Yes, that one.
Live AIDS.
Live AIDS. Wow.
The AIDS are live.
I can't
It's a
stand
diet candy.
He's got 15 solo studio albums, and the Police have 5 albums, 3 live albums, 7 compilation albums, 12 video albums, 4 soundtrack and albums, and 26 singles. So there's a lot going on. Oh, and he's in a ton of movies. He's
Oh,
also
yeah.
in a ton
That's
of
right.
movies.
We forget.
Yes.
That's right. And I don't think Paul McCartney has an acting career.
He
Not
does.
really.
Does a little bit?
He has a list as well.
Oh, really?
Actually.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
like
help
this
me.
long.
Throw it out there, girl. Let's hear it.
But Sting,
So I forgot to mention they were both actors.
Yes.
Yeah.
he has a film and television and radio roles. So there's Quadrophenia, Radio On, The Great Rock and Roll Swindle. And these are not him. He's playing different characters. Artemis 81, the list goes on. He's in 20.
The Bride.
Yeah, he's in 25 different
Dune.
things.
Yes,
Walking to New
Dune.
Orleans. Dune, yes. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which I totally forgot about.
It's a good movie.
And then there's a whole list of him playing himself in a bunch of movies as well. So lots of things that he does.
Wow.
Lots
Quite
of things.
versatile, isn't he?
He is.
So
It's a lovely
the
man.
thing with him collaborating with Dire Straits. Okay. That was they were those guys all know each other. I mean, when you get to the level of Sting at that time in 84, whatever that was, whenever Brothers in Arms was coming, they were probably recording in 84, 83, and it came out around the time. They were, they all hung out together. They all knew each other. Mark Knopfler and, knew Sting. They were buddies and everything. And so he goes in. So they brought him in to sing, I want my
Right.
MTV.
Yep.
But what people don't realize is that's actually the melody to Don't Stand
Right.
So Close to Me.
Yep.
And Sting's publishing company sued Dire
Yeah.
Straits
Yeah.
over that. And he was really embarrassed because he was like, I didn't go and do it for money. I didn't,
Right.
He said, these are buddies of mine.
Money for nothing.
I thought it would, money for nothing. He says, I just thought, He's, I was just trying to, ironic, huh? He's, I was just trying to, just have some fun with, Mark and the guys. We thought it'd be cool. And then this whole shenanigans happens. And how he ended up resolving it was yes, they had to they had to take royalties off of Money for Nothing and go back to Sting's publishing company. But what Sting's publishing company did was they created a rider or something in their contract where that money, once it came to them, went back to Dire Straits.
Oh, okay.
So he gave
That's
it back because
cool.
he was like, I
So
don't.
they
want,
loopholed it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't want the money.
Thanks for the
He was
loan.
just-
Here's
yeah,
your money back.
Yeah, I just really wasn't.
Wow.
I didn't go and do this. So that
I was here having a good time.
at that point, I mean, Sting didn't need the money.
No.
He didn't need the money. Sting was a seminal artist for me. I never really idolized celebrities or rock stars. Believe it or not, being a musician, there's a lot of bands I absolutely loved, and I played their records over and over. But there was nobody who I wanted to be, really.
Okay.
With the closest I ever came, though, was Sting. I thought, just what an amazing songwriter, what an amazing singer, what an amazing musician. So I had a little bromance with Sting in the 80s for a while. I was just really blown away. I bought his first three solo albums. Just thought he was absolutely fantastic. Eventually, I was on to other things. But the thing that I think distinguishes Sting from Paul McCartney in the terms of the musician aspect of it is that he does have jazz chops. You could put him in a band with playing jazz, playing bass, playing jazz standards, and he would be completely fine. He would sound great. McCartney doesn't really come from that pedigree.
Right.
He's not really doing that. Although he has musical background. I think he played trumpet originally.
His dad was a jazz player.
Okay. So, but he doesn't have the same kind of thing that Sting does that with the jazz thing. And that's something that if you sit and learn here's the fun thing about Sting songs and Police songs. They're very difficult to play like acoustically with like cowboy chords.
Right.
You just can't
Yeah.
strum. Some of them you can, and some people have done. Sean Colvin most famously did Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic with a more of acoustic-y kind of sound to it. But really, all these songs are like, if you look at the sheet music, it's, A minor 7 over C /
Yeah.
B add 9, like a chord changing, almost on every word at times. I still can't figure out how to play Fortress Around Your Heart. That's one of my favorite songs that he ever did. He's just really, and I think that what he was able to do musically by bringing in jazz is was really fresh, was really unique. Unfortunately, it didn't catch on in terms of other bands doing it. When you think of bands that bring some jazz into it, who do you think? Steely Dan. That's the first thing that everybody.
Sure.
And then Blood, Sweat, and Tears has some of that. Sting / the Police. This is a handful, and it just seems like it was one of those things. And I just don't know if pop musicians, most of them, just don't have the musical education to do that type of stuff, or the musical vocabulary, I should say, to do that type of stuff. Now, Sir Paul is no slouch on the bass, and he's an amazing musician. And none of this is to take anything away from Sir Paul. I'm not trying to take anything away. He's a monster musician, and we're going to talk about Sir Paul here in a second. But that was just sort of what was your sort of thoughts, Kev? We grew up at the same time. Were you into Sting at all? Or?
Yeah, I was into Sting and the Police, and it's so funny because being a kid, not really knowing much about music, I remember this band coming out, Police, and the music was different. I couldn't put my finger on why it was different until somebody's like, well, it's really a reggae-based kind of sound, and I'm like, oh.
They really had a reggae going on,
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm like, oh, but they made it work so that rockers liked it.
Yeah.
I'm like, there you go, perfect.
They did that, and their first album, even on their first album, there's cool chord changes and things like. I can't remember the name of the first guitar player that they started playing with. That him and Stewart started playing with, but Sting just couldn't wait to get rid of him because he didn't know any chords.
Yeah.
He was like the guy just wasn't
Sting's like, I'm going to play some chords here. I'm going to play some different notes. You better know the chords.
Exactly.
He didn't.
So enter Andy Summers, who's a monster. So yeah, were you a Sting fan, Lily? Or
Yes and no. I forget about the Police and Sting quite a bit until I hear a song, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I like
I
that
thought it
song.
was good.
I remember I like that song, but it's not like Aerosmith for me. So.
Right.
Yeah.
They're no Motley Crue, Lou.
Right, or
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
They were also one of those bands that really thrived on MTV.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
They had videos
had a huge
early. So they were like Kevin and I were talking about this morning. Would you say how many videos did MTV have when they came on the air?
When they first went on the air, they had about 100.
and
So you got to figure 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they only had 100 to put in the rotation.
so bands like the Police
Yeah.
ended up getting a lot of play because they had videos. So they were really able to get a lot of exposure. That was one of those things, and like it happened. So people will say, if it wasn't for MTV, nobody would. Well, MTV happened. Like it just, and I think it was going to happen, right? You had television, you had massive music industry,
Yeah.
you
They were
had cable
eventually going to
TV.
meet.
Something was gonna
that people could get all around. They could get the same programming all around the country, all around the world. Even it just kind of was like somebody was going to have the idea,
Right.
To do like 24 hours of music on television. Somebody was just was going to have that idea.
It just makes
But the
most
Police
sense.
really did benefit because of MTV. You think about all the bands that came out. Okay, they benefited because of the MTV. The Police, Culture Club, Men at Work, Wham. There's so many bands that
Yeah.
didn't, they really were children of MTV. And then I think too, hand in hand is the hair bands.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course, and because a lot of those bands to this day don't get played on classic rock radio.
No.
Yeah.
You almost never hear like a band like Warrant, as great as they
Right.
are played.
Right.
The classic rock
Pastor
stations.
Pussycat, you don't hear that.
Yeah.
Never.
You saw them.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. They will play, some selections from Quiet Riot. But
Yeah.
Also, with those hair metal bands, though, it was all about the look, so they had to be on the TV.
Exactly.
I don't, well, that is true. But I think that those bands I think they had their ear to the ground. In fact, they knew that MTV was a thing, and they were like, if we have a look, we know we can get seen,
Exactly.
Yeah,
we can get
for
noticed.
sure.
So, and there was a lot of bands from the 70s that they did videos and stuff, but they didn't we were talking about Kansas before. Mm-hmm. You ever see a Kansas video?
No.
It's embarrassing.
38
Yeah.
Special is the one for me
Oh,
that
yeah.
don't ever do a music video.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, God, they just have faces for radio.
Yep.
Yep.
Just did not look real photogenic or hip or cool or whatever. They were even able to make and it's funny because bands like the Fabulous Thunderbirds and Stevie Ray Vaughan were actually able to have hits on MTV.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these classic rock bands from the 70s just could not do it.
It didn't translate.
How many Doobie Brothers videos are there?
I don't even know.
Like zero. Yeah.
So
Probably for the best.
unfortunate. So let's go ahead and talk about Sir Paul.
Okay, so Paul. Worldwide fame with the Beatles, as we all know. Primary songwriting and lead vocal duties with John Lennon.
Get that duty.
What I did. One of the most successful composers and performers of all time. He has explored with pre-rock, pop, classical, electronica. Again, not afraid to try new things. His partnership with Lennon remains the most successful in history as far as songwriting goes, before anybody gets snarky about it. McCartney taught himself piano, guitar, and songwriting as a teenager, and his favorite people, as far as influences go, are Little Richard and Buddy Holly. Started with the Quarrymen with John Lennon in 1957. Of course, that became the Beatles. While primarily he is a bassist with the Beatles, he also can play keyboards, guitars, and drums. He's very talented. But after the Beatles disbanded, he formed Wings with his wife Linda and Denny Lane. Wings was one of the most successful bands in the 70s, and he wrote or co-wrote their US UK #1 hits, My Love, Band on the Run, Listen to What the Man Said, Silly Love Songs, and Mull of Kintyre. I don't know that one, sorry. He resumed his solo career in 1980, and he has written or co-written a record 32 songs that have topped the Billboard Hot 100. He has sales of 25.5 million certified units in the U.S.
Wait, okay. Well, how many does Sting have?
I didn't find that information. I couldn't find it.
Oh, okay. Well, you had some statistic about Sting.
Yeah, I had his awards and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. As of 2020, he is one of the wealthiest musicians of the world with an estimated fortune of 800 million pounds. I don't know if that is in U.S. Beyond music, he has taken part in projects to promote international charities, just like Sting has. He's animal rights, seal hunting, landmines, vegetarianism, poverty, music education. He's got his hand in pretty much anything. He's participated with Live Aid, Fairy Aid, Live 8. And I can't pronounce some of these, so I'm not going to. You can look them up. The one thing I don't like is he is all about anti-fracking, which is my primary career. So
Yeah.
we don't like that part of it. But that's okay.
Frack off.
16 solo albums,
Go frack yourself.
7 Wings albums, 8 other albums, 5 classical albums, and 3 albums from the Firemen. There it is, and that's another band.
right
Yeah,
out.
right. So they're about like here-ish.
Him and Michael Jackson
Yes.
had songs together in the 80s that were big MTV hits. You know, he was a guy that was able to go to MTV and do some stuff.
For sure.
Smart was doing that before Carlos Santana did it like 10
Yes.
years later
Uh-huh.
in the 90s. But still smart and good on Carlos. Glad that happened as well.
Oh, and he was in a whole bunch of movies too. He actually has more movie credits than
Sting. Really? What's it-
by far. But most of them are himself, to be fair. But
Okay.
he's acted from 1964 until literally 2018. And
Well, that's
we've
right.
got,
Well,
like,
the Beatles had like Hard Day's Night and all those movies and stuff like that, where they ran around. It was basically
It's over 40 credits.
Wow.
So
like
that's
them running around and
Yeah.
Being
people's
goofy.
girls screaming and
Yes, yes. I think one of my favorite cameos is Tracy Ullman's. Was it They Don't Know About Us? Where at the end she's driving in the car with Paul McCartney.
Oh, fun.
That was really cool. Like, look, it's Paul.
Paul McCartney was kind of what was he to me? He was like a generation before me.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting into music in the early 80s. So, and those 70s, there was plenty of 70s bands that were still getting played a lot. I mean, the classic rock stations were playing the Stones and the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and all those bands. So when he would come on the radio, there was always this sort of, his music always sounded a little arcane to me. It always sort of had that sort of flavor of the old days in my mind. In my mind. Mm-hmm. Remember, guys.
In your
I
mind.
heard I heard Eddie Van Halen before I heard Jimi Hendrix or Eric Clapton.
Right.
Okay, so that's how I got into music. I kind of had to go backwards. The Beatles, though, were ubiquitous. Like I knew who the Beatles were. You know, my parents liked to listen to the oldie station, so we
Right.
were very familiar with "I Want to Hold Your Hand" and "Hard Day's Night" and "Love Me Do" and "8 Days a Week" and all those songs. I remember thinking that when I say we, I'm usually referring to my sister Paula
Yes.
and I
Okay.
as we're growing up.
Yes.
But they were, I got interested in the Beatles finally when, I don't remember, I think it was a Westwood One radio network did this program called It Was 20 Years Ago Today. And they would run these long radio documentaries documenting almost everything that the Beatles did.
Kind of like us.
Yeah. I mean, just like literally, absolutely their whole career. And I don't know if it went album by album or year by year, but it was a long series. And I remembered it would play like on Sunday afternoons. And then I would listen to it. And I became like a fan. I was like, damn, these guys are like really serious. I didn't put it together, you know. And then I realized, oh yeah, I Am the Walrus and Come Together and Let It Be.
You can go on.
And on and on. So I think in terms of overall impact, we have to kind of give it to Paul McCartney for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's just, like I said, though, he has the unfair advantage in the sense that he was in the fucking Beatles.
Right.
Okay. And he has a 10-year or so head start on Sting. Sting does list the Beatles as like one of his influences for sure. And they had their share of songs that were intricate. I mean, Paul McCartney wrote Yesterday, which I believe is the Beatles song that has the most chord changes.
Interesting.
You know, he plays the guitar riff on Blackbird, which is one of the, like, you know, if you're studying finger picking, one of the songs you learn Dust in the Wind, you learn Blackbird. There's a handful of songs that really help you with that.
I'm actually not a fan of Paul McCartney. However, I'm actually not going to say the reasons.
Why?
I'm not going to say because it's petty and stupid.
Because of fracking.
No, not fracking. Actually, it has nothing to do with the fracking. But he is my least favorite of the Beatles, and it's just, I just find him very annoying. So
I want to know why.
because
likes you.
he doesn't like me. He might
told
actually like
me.
me. I'm not blonde enough. It's because he's a dirty hoe and he has cheated on everybody he's been with, and I just do not enjoy him. And actually, I just don't know. I just find him very annoying.
Look, a bird
I
comes
can't stand
along.
looking at his face. It's kind of like
He
a
was
Geddy Lee
considered
thing.
the cute Beatle.
Yeah.
All the girls thought Pete.
I get it.
That Paul was the cute Beatle.
He
That
looks
Pete?
the youngest.
Pete McCartney?
He wasn't the youngest though. The youngest was George Harrison.
George is my favorite Beatle.
George.
But yeah.
That was fun. That was a thing, right? Who's your favorite Beatle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Who's your
It's totally
favorite
a thing.
Oh,
Beatle?
it still is. It still is.
I was listening to a mix of Paul McCartney today on Spotify, and I heard one of my favorite Paul McCartney songs. No More Lonely Nights with David Gilmour.
Oh,
No,
guitar.
yes.
man.
I know that one.
There's a
fantastic.
great,
Yeah.
long outro with David Gilmour playing the solo.
Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
that makes the song. Well, it is a beautiful song.
Yeah.
But David Gilmour's guitar gives it a kind of a rock edge. Like, that's a song that even though it's a pop ballad, the rock stations played it because
Yes.
David Gilmour's
Yes.
on it. And he sounds great.
Yes.
Sounds freaking great. I don't know, about 20 years ago or so, they went back to the Cavern Club. It was Paul McCartney, and it was a kind of an all-star lineup. It was definitely Paul playing, and David Gilmour was playing guitar, and I can't remember who the other couple guys were, but they went back to the Cavern Club, and they played all those.
We could
They
probably look
played
that
Little
up.
Richard songs and all the stuff that they came up with. And there's a concert video of it out there somewhere. But it's, you hear them, and yes, Chuck Berry and Little Richard, stuff like that, but they went way beyond that. You know what I mean? What they were able to do, it's just what they could hear.
Right.
They would hear things, and they were able to make it work in a rock context. Little Steven Van Zandt, I heard him talking about this one time, that somewhere there, like when rock and roll died, when the Big Bopper and Buddy Holly and Richie Valens died, and then we had the folk
Right.
thing. When it came back, it wasn't rock and roll, it was rock. And the Beatles were really responsible for that. You know, what would have happened if we never had a British invasion? Like, say the Beatles had those early records, and then they broke up before they did anything like
Right.
Rubber Soul,
Yeah.
or where they started to get a little bit more.
I kind of feel like there was a whole movie that showed what would happen if there were
Exactly,
no Beatles.
right?
That movie is bullshit.
You just don't like that
Oh,
movie, but I think that
whoa.
movie's fantastic.
I
that
like
movie,
that movie.
I'm going
Sorry,
to tell you
Lou.
right now,
Sorry, Lou.
there's so many things about that movie that are completely off.
You have-
the Beatles were they were responsible for so much. There's so many things that we would not have. I don't know if we would even have a rock scene in the 70s or anything like that if we didn't have the Beatles.
I like that movie.
You have to suspend disbelief.
I liked a lot of things.
Well, I
about that
thought that the premise of the movie was, well, what would it be like if we didn't have the Beatles? And I thought it was like, well, we just didn't have the Beatles. Everything else is the same. That's not what happened.
movie. No, it wasn't the same. Remember, he was trying to look up a whole bunch of things on the internet and
Yeah,
everything.
but,
Like, there were no
you know.
Rolling Stones. There was no
Oasis.
Oasis. There was no Coca-Cola. There were no cigarettes.
I know.
Like, there were things that just weren't a thing.
Crazy. The Beatles.
No Harry Potter.
Yeah, that was a great alternative ending.
Right.
That was,
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
would have. I think the world would have ended if the Beatles didn't happen. I'm just
You
kidding.
think? Really?
I am a massive Beatle fan. They're all great. Paul McCartney, though, I'm kind of with Lily in the sense that he was never my personal favorite Beatle. George Harrison really had my soul.
That's, yeah.
I just
me.
thought he was great.
I like Pete best.
Pete
Those
is
fuckers
best.
fired him.
Stuart Sutcliffe.
George is where it's at.
Yeah.
But
Also, he writes more of my favorite songs. So.
and the sort of I don't even like the word complaint. It's not a complaint, but the sort of comment is that, well, when Paul stopped working with John Lennon, that his music lost some of its like rock edge because John was always the guy who was sort of pushing the more edgy kind of sound. You know, if you listen to Plastic Ono Band and stuff like that, it is a little bit more.
Oh boy.
Not that.
Great vocals. Great vocals.
So Mr. Pittsburgh, what are your thoughts on Paul? Paul.
Well, I was going to contrast the two of them when we're done talking about Paul. I have a different angle.
Well, talk about Paul. Can you talk about Paul or not?
So again, when I was exposed to the Beatles, wasn't really.
Did they expose themselves to you?
Yes. Show me
I
the
hope
doll.
you got photos.
I do. I do. But, when I first started listening to rock and roll and the Beatles, this is cool, right? But then when I started playing bass and I went back and I listened to his bass lines, I'm like, whoa, that really, okay. It's not just the old from the 50s. Do, 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 do. No, it's like, do, 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 do. You know, like,
well, they gave everybody permission to like experiment and really take it in a different direction. But go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, and that changed the way I started playing bass too, is listening to him, and I'm like, oh, let me try that. Oh, that does sound good, right? So, yes, Paul is an influence of mine.
Okay.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think I've kind of like said what I have to say about it. So go ahead. You want
all right. So here's
contrast a little bit. So we're just kind of going through. I want to hear an angle.
Now, both of these fellows, bass players.
Yes.
Hey Lou, you know me, right? I'm a gearhead, right? So let's take a look at their iconic basses. All right. You say you can sit back and relax, have a sip of that White Claw there, sister. We'll get back to you in a minute. Oh, boy. Paul McCartney, what kind of bass?
Hofner.
Exactly, right? Mm-hmm. You might get this one. A Sting, what kind of bass?
It's a Fender something.
It's a 57 P bass, right?
It's a P bass. I remember it was a P. It's right. It's a P. It's not jazz. Yeah.
Yeah. So I step back. All right, Hofner's kind of cool, very unique violin bass. Blah blah blah. Okay, right, but oh boy, you can't beat a 57 P bass, right? He has a 55 as backup also, but you can't beat that. But hold on, you think that's the end of the story?
Well, the 55, the 55 is the one with the people call it the Telecaster.
The Telecaster,
but it's not
bass,
really.
No,
there's no such thing as that. Was just a precision bass.
Yeah, 57 is when it really.
I learned that from 5 Watt World.
See, there you go. But so in that case, I'm like, okay, I got to give it this thing because you can't beat a 57 P bass, right? But hold on, the story doesn't end there. After Paul leaves, well, no, he was still in the Beatles when this happened. What other bass did he play? That's right, Rickenbacker. Oh, Paul! I'm
sorry, Rickenbacker.
Rickenbacker, yeah.
No, you can say Rickenbackers. That's okay,
So I'm like, oh shit. That's what I said. I said, oh shit, when I was thinking about this. I'm like, I'm gonna have to give it to Paul with the Rickenbacker because I love me a Ricky. So you're basing your. This is compare and contrast, not like who's better. Right? No, it's who's better. Dude, your gear makes you better.
What are the comments, Lily?
We have already read them all.
Yeah, they're just sitting back.
They're just watching what we're doing.
They're just sitting back in awe out there and Facebook.
They're waiting for us to get naked. That's the whole thing.
Okay. Well, Lou started. I'm gonna remove my pants. I see your shirt coming off, and I removed my drawers.
What are your thoughts, Lil, like between the two guys?
Well, I can't say anything about their gear. Well,
good. That's Pittsburgh Kevin.
I think they're both. They're very similar, like you said before. They both have done all the same things that the other one has done in a way, and like I said, I just don't like Paul, so I'm gonna go with Sting on it just because. I just like him better. I like more songs that he's done. I like Paul better in the Beatles. I don't like him in Wings. They're both fantastic, but it's just,
Yes. Sting
and they've both done so much.
Sting is sexier. You got to admit. He's quite sexy.
Sting is pretty sexy.
Right.
Done the bloody thing all day. We're so sorry. We're so easily called away.
And isn't Paul dead anyway?
Yeah, Paul. That's right. We should end it right there. Paul died.
Paul died. So what's
what we're talking about? Fuck this podcast.
Ah.
There it is.
That's what I
Yep,
did
there he goes.
Oh, where's Honky tonight?
He is
Where
locked
is
in the
Honky?
closet.
Is he? Is he really?
Yes.
In the closet.
Honky.
Oh, there he is.
Get back in there.
Ooh, 3
Honky.
honks.
Get back in there.
3 honks for
3
Honky.
honks for Honky.
Get that horn shoved up your asshole.
Poor Honky. No respect.
Exactly.
Oh, I'll tell you, no respect.
No respect.
Oh, here we go.
That I grew up more with. It's tough for me because Sting was like really influential on more of a personal influence. Where Paul McCartney was like, I loved the Beatles, and I do like a lot of Wings songs. When I was listening to that mix today, I was reminded of songs that I had forgotten about.
Right.
Junior's Farm.
Yeah.
That's a good jam.
I love that.
That's a really good. That's fun. Really good. That's a rockin' tune. You know?
I love how they ended. The sound is like, and he goes, ha, and it ends. I'm like, whoa, that was unexpected. That was kind of magical.
He was still, when he was doing Wings, they were still being very experimental.
Uh-huh,
Like I was
sure.
talking about the Uncle Albert song. Think about all the different kind of like, I mean, there's all just like different like movements in that song.
Uh-huh,
There's
yeah,
all
yeah.
kind of stuff going on, and it gets on pop radio.
Mm-hmm.
So-
I respect them both.
So Sting doesn't do stuff like that. What Sting, I think, was able to do was to take a lot of ideas and kind of sneak them in, like disguise them as just 3-minute pop songs. And when when you sit down and try to play them, you're like, your fingers get all tangled up because what the fuck kind of chord is this?
You get arthritis.
How did he get that?
It's some really crazy shit that he was doing. I just grew up more with Sting. Paul McCartney, again, in my mind, was always this sort of like older guy who was like a patriarch of rock, and I always respected him. And I love the Beatles, and I do love Wings. I don't know if I can say one. I definitely would never say one is better than the other, but I think they are slightly different, just in terms of the sort of flavor that they have. Paul doesn't. Like I said, Sting has that more kind of intricate kind of jazz thing going on, whereas Paul does. He has a different approach. That doesn't mean Paul doesn't know chords, because he's a very good piano player. And he's a solid guitarist.
Sure.
A lot of people don't realize. I believe he plays. Was he play
The first
guitar
solo
on
in
Let It Be?
On Maybe I'm Amazed.
Maybe I'm amazed.
Yes,
maybe
he
I'm
plays
amazed.
the first guitar solo. In
Yeah,
it.
that's him.
Yeah.
So he can rock out on the guitar
Sure.
too.
And he owns a 59 left-handed
Left-handed.
flame top Les Paul.
Les Paul.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
What is that going to go for at auction?
Probably
Can you
$1.50.
imagine?
$1.75.
Like
maybe. Yeah.
David. I think David Gilmour's guitar went more than Eric Clapton's, if I remember. I think
Really?
at the time,
Right, yeah.
it was the most highest selling guitar ever. David Gilmour is, in my opinion, I think, in terms of the pantheon of guitarists, has kind of surpassed Eric Clapton. I think that he's way more like, I think that his I don't know. I think that he has. I think that there's way more about him out there and way more veneration for him now. Not when he was current with Clapton, when they were at the same time. Of course, Clapton's God, right? But I think that, so I don't know what David Gilmour did, but he found a way to kind of continue to be relevant. He's still talked about. I mean,
Right.
He still tours.
Yeah.
and he sounds great and everything. But anyways, we're digressing there. I wouldn't put one over. Like I say, when I say verses, it's just because, okay, all right. So I've got to fit it, in the podcast title and on YouTube and stuff like that. Just easier to go verses than compare and contrast the music of Sting and the music of Paul McCartney. Blah, blah, blah. That's a mouthful of language that
Yes.
nobody needs. Sting versus Paul McCartney. What do you guys think? Out there in podcast land, who do you like better? Whose music are you rocking out to more?
Your thoughts are important to us.
All right, nobody cares. That's great. Bastards.
We say that with love, though.
Lizards, buzzards, bastards.
Well, Bill was like concerned his daughter was listening to the show.
Yeah,
for a
that's
second
awesome.
there.
Oh my God.
We
Well,
really,
because she's-
really need to post that
You
disclaimer.
said you were
at the
sweating your dick
beginning.
off. So.
Yeah. Daddy? Is he really sweating his dick off?
Get him out of here.
Hawkins.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
There you have pretty much what, just think about it, guys. Just think about what amazing musicians these two guys are. And I've never heard Sting say that, like, yeah, Paul McCartney's like, well, totally, I don't want to be just like, I never heard anything like that. But you do see
It just happened to fall on
it
the
just
same
happened
path.
to happen to fall on the same path. And maybe, again, with the Beatles being so, there's nobody who isn't. I remember hearing an interview in like the early 80s with Leonard Skinner, and they were like, oh, who your biggest influence? They were like, oh, definitely the Beatles. I'm like, you guys sound like not like the fucking Beatles. Leonard Skinner does not sound like the Beatles.
Right.
Nope.
Right. We just
But everybody was Kiss.
Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They were like, I mean,
Absolutely.
if you read Gene Simmons' book, I mean, he goes on and on. Like, that's what him and Paul Stanley wanted, was a 4 pieces. Everybody wrote, everybody sang. It was like their whole. In fact, they do I think it's their first album. It's the 4 Faces. They said that was exactly. They were trying to do, the Beatles thing.
Right. Exactly.
There are thrash metal bands that cite the Beatles as an
Yeah.
influence. So everybody has the Beatles as an influence
Right.
somewhere at some time.
And as great as Sting is, you don't have everybody saying that the Police.
That's
is
the
an
truth.
Right.
Well, that's true.
The Police is great. I think there's those bands that are sort of subliminal influences on a whole thing that people don't really, maybe 30 years later somebody goes and says, do you realize that like how much, everybody was influenced? Like a band, for instance, that I remember a lot of guys talking about, but they were not real popular, at least in America, like on the radio, was The Clash.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they got a couple songs that kind of broke a little bit. But so many bands like U2 loved the Clash, and they were, oh my God, the Clash. So that's a good example of a band that was like on their own, weren't like, but they have that effect on everyone.
Right.
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 And there's some metal bands like that too that that Metallica and these different bands cite that were like they weren't like nobodies, but they didn't have like big hits, so to speak.
Yeah.
Speaking of big hits, next week we're going to be talking about 10 classic rock staples that never broke the charts, never made the top 40 charts. And there is a plethora of them, like songs that you go like, that had to be nope. Was not on the charts. Yes, everybody knows it. Everybody knows every word to it. Everybody rocks out to it every day.
But it didn't make it.
But it did not make it on the charts.
That'd be fun.
So I would just tell y'all, all y'all out there,
y'all.
is to sit down and listen to some Paul McCartney and some Sting this week. Have
Sure.
some fun with it.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt you.
Eating some turkey, listening to Paul McCartney.
So we're going to talk. We're going to talk new and notable.
Okay.
So, Mr. Pittsburgh, let's start with you.
Why don't we do that? So, hey Lou, you just know me, right? I always get my stuff from the TikTok, right?
Oh boy.
This band came up on my For You page, and I'm like, well, okay then. Name of the band is Black Rock Candy. Well, I like the name, don't you?
The name sounds wonderful.
Yeah, Black Rock Candy is a rock band from Southern California that boasts an eclectic sound of rock, classic rock, blues, alternative, and pop with their original music. And it really is. It's very cool. I'm like, it's kind of hard, but it's kind of
Now I have to put
not
this
so
on my
hard. Yeah.
Yes, that hard.
It's that hard.
Oh god.
It says here that lead singer Taylor Hart, a lovely lady, will captivate you with her incredible vocal abilities, mirrored by Izzy, that's their guitarist.
Not Izzy Stradlin.
No,
Okay.
it's somebody else. They don't give a last name. Ooh, they're very
Oh,
mysterious.
hello.
Yes. But Izzy's colorful guitar riffs and solos. Aaron, who's on drums, will have you on your feet with his high-energy drum ensembles.
I'll have me on my back.
What?
I'm just kidding.
This isn't them.
That's not them.
No.
Lou's jumping the gun over there.
Mother Superior jumped the gun.
But yeah, their music talent has afforded them the opportunity to perform at many festivals and legendary venues, including the House of Blues in Anaheim, the Mint in Los Angeles, Lake Havasu Winterfest, Colorado River Run, and the Viper Room in Whiskey A Go Go in Hollywood,
Of course.
California. Yeah, so Oh, it was a fun little band. I'm
Whiskey
like, I think I'll
a-go-go.
mention those little guys. That's what I said. I
Nice.
said that. out
Are
loud.
they all female or no?
No, just the lead singer.
Okay.
Don't get excited about that there guitarist. Just because you got long hair doesn't mean.
I love their logo with a little lollipop.
Uh-huh.
That's super fun.
Lollipop,
black.
lollipop, oh,
Rock.
lolly, 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 lollipop. Ba-boom, boom, boom.
You did the.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I see Ampeg, Marshall.
We got a nice
Is that
jazz bass
Jazz,
going on
yeah,
there.
jizz bass. Yeah.
You'll find jazz.
So check it. Yeah, they actually have the actual website, blackrockcandyband.com.
Right.
So you can check them out. I'm going to go ahead, copy. I'm going to put that in the show notes.
There you go.
So all y'all
All y'all.
can do it. Nope, you're not going to let me do that.
Oh, those sons of bitches.
Bitches of sons. No, I have to do
Oh,
this.
yes.
So my band
Yes.
is Heroes and Monsters. And unfortunately, they don't have a .com. They have to get. They're on Facebook though. That's
Yes,
them.
they are.
Those
Three-piece
guys.
rock band.
Yeah.
Just really good. Ram it down your throat. Rock and roll. They just released a song.
Yeah, buddy.
They just released a song a couple of days ago called Raw Power.
Is that the one we listened
Yeah,
to today?
yeah,
Oh,
it's really
yeah.
good. It's excellent. There's a kind of Foo Fighters meets Fastway kind
Yeah.
of kind
Yeah.
of
Oh,
sound.
fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of sound. The lead guitar player is really hot. Just really. There's two guitar solos in the song.
Not like
There's
that,
one,
Lily.
There's one like in the middle of the song, and then like on the outro, he rocks out at the end. Just really good raw rock and roll. This is these guys are on that Frontiers Music.
Okay.
That's how they showed up on a playlist. Frontiers Music has some stuff I think is really cool, and they have some stuff that I think is really kind of But this is really cool. This is really good. They when you watch the video, like you tell they totally mean it. Like they're a real rock and roll band.
Jeez.
It's very cool.
Good stuff. I like this.
Yeah. I'm not seeing a
Like a website.
like a
Nothing.
web. We'll hit the about button here. Yeah.
Nope, nothing.
Nope. So you just gotta, if you Google them, Heroes and Monsters Band, they'll take you to their social media stuff.
There you go.
Nice.
Somebody posted the Beavis and Butthead thing where they're
Head-banging
rocking out,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
head
yeah.
banging. No, there's their logos.
Even their logo's pretty
It's
cool.
pretty
Look
cool.
at that little guy.
Look, guy. Look at that little. Ooh, a Dean,
Dean
V.
V.
Nice.
Sorry, we're geeks.
Coolness.
Yeah.
Coolness.
I'm not looking at
So-
the guitar, but that's fine.
Oh, is that? Oh, well, that's all right.
Like these are long-haired, tattooed guys. Oh,
Yeah.
look who they're hanging out with here.
Oh,
Taylor.
Taylor.
Every time I hear that, I think of Planet of the Apes. Taylor.
We
Bright
are geeks.
eyes.
We are geeks.
Yeah, you are.
Just a little.
Black Rock Candy.
Nerd.
Shh.
And
I
Heroes
think
and
we're talking about
Monsters.
Elf Blue.
So what do you guys think?
Yes.
Would you pay $5,000 to see Taylor Swift?
Not a fucking chance in
No.
hell.
There are tickets apparently from resellers like $30,000.
$30,000.
Today, $94,000. I saw it this morning. $94,000. And if you pay that, you're fucking brain dead.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you love your kid. No.
Nope.
Dumb.
No.
My
Wow.
parents said no to me all the time. You can't
Yeah.
afford that. Okay.
Yeah.
And we just went, oh, okay.
And just get on with your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well.
Your kids will not, they'll be fine. You don't have, please don't go mortgaging your house for
Do you
Taylor Swift
honestly
tickets.
want to, be gouged by Taylor Swift of
Yeah.
all the people?
Is she gonna
in
come out
the
and blow
world?
me?
No, she's not.
No, then I'm not paying that kind of money. The only one, ironically, the only one that can afford a Taylor Swift concert ticket is Taylor Swift.
Legit.
Yeah.
After she already canceled one show, one tour, she hasn't played in 3 years since the pandemic, and then you're gonna go and gouge your fans. Go fuck yourself. Sorry.
Right up the butt.
What? Yeah. Here's what I take umbrage with. First of all, Everybody, now look, I am no fan of Ticketmaster. I don't like the Monopoly thing at all. I don't even like playing Monopoly.
I
That's how
do,
bad
as
it
long
is.
as it's not with my brother-in-law. Because he's brutal. But anyway, go ahead.
Wow. Like,
Place
death
keeps.
Monopoly.
He's evil.
Do not pass, go, do not collect $200.
That's,
That's all
yeah,
I remember
that's a whole
about
thing.
Monopoly.
Do not collect $94,000.
Yeah, from your fans. So everybody, so I'm enough, and this thing where they merge with Live Nation and everything. I take umbrage with a lot of that type of stuff. I think that we need to have local ticketing places again, and that's
I
how
agree.
we need to do it.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
That they come to local towns, so the ticketing and everything should be taken care of in the market where you're going to get the tickets, and that should be the end of it. Kevin and I were talking. We were at lunch today, and we were talking, and there are certain things I think we're finding out that don't work well digitally. Okay, you have to have the physical thing. Okay, voting. All right, that is one of them. Tickets for anything, even sporting events. Like, this is ridiculous. Print the fucking tickets.
Right.
You're not killing that many trees.
Some of us really like those.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you
everybody,
can
and
keep them,
you
save
keep
them.
That's my
I
keepsake.
have
I
still have my
concert
tickets.
It's like,
I have all my tickets.
what are you doing? You're pooping all over everything that is cool. Well, one of the things that's super cool about, and it was always kind of a badge of honor about how long you camped out for tickets,
Right.
and things
Right,
like that.
right.
It was like, come on, man, can't we? Gee,
These little
whiz.
kids are crying. I can't believe I have to wait in line online for 2,000 people. In front
wait
of
online. in line.
Get
I gotta wait.
out of my face. I sat outside of National Record Mart until I could go in and buy a
Look,
ticket.
here's what waiting online is.
Yeah.
This is in your back pocket.
And you can sit there and watch TV
you can do
or
whatever-
masturbate or whatever
Yeah.
it is that you do till you're
You could be at work or school and still.
Cry me a river, and I will ride in my little canoe with snacks on your tears.
On your
All right.
Sorry,
Exactly.
get away from me, little children.
It's ridiculous. So what you don't realize, and nobody's what very few people are talking about. The artists are the ones who could stop this.
Right.
Right? They're not going to.
They could absolutely stop it. Now, there is an article that I came across today
Yes.
by the boss, Bruce Springsteen.
Oh.
No, do not send me push notifications. So the issue is the dynamic pricing system. If there's high demand, then they can charge more. So in other words, instead of tickets being $300, they start out at $300, but then it looks like there's a big demand. So this gives them permission to jack the price.
That's
up.
fucked up.
And I get it. It's that's capitalism. And I get everybody wants to make money. Here's what Springsteen says. I'm going, hey, why shouldn't that money go to the guys that are going to be up there sweating 3 hours a night for it? It created an opportunity for that to occur. And so at that point, we went for it. I know it was unpopular with some fans, but if there's any complaints on the way out, you can have your money back.
Uh-huh.
We'll see.
Good luck with that.
I'm told I take a lot of things in stride. You don't like to be criticized. You certainly don't like to be the poster boy for high ticket prices. It's the last thing you prefer to be, but that's how it went. You have to own the decisions that you've made and go out and just continue to do your best. And that was my take on it. I think if folks come to the show, they're going to have a good time. Mm-hmm. Look, we're forgetting one other thing.
What's that?
The most important thing. The
Yes.
most important factor in this equation
Yes.
is you. Don't buy the fucking tickets.
buy the tickets.
Just don't go. Just don't go.
Right.
There are a gazillion concert performances of Springsteen on YouTube. You have a big screen TV with surround sound. You can sit there, you can get drunk with your friends, and you can rock out just like you're at a concert. When you go to the concert, okay, this really frosts my backside.
Woo!
When you go to a concert these days, what are you doing? You're watching it on the fucking Jumbotron or whatever.
Usually.
Anyway,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
No, but so you're watching on TV anyways. You can spend $5,000 to watch something on TV. You're a fucking moron.
And waiting in line for a
Moron.
bathroom.
That's bullshit.
Yep.
$8
There
a
is
beer.
you're out of your goddamn mind. There is nothing, and it's not even concerts aren't even like a concert atmosphere anymore. When concerts were in an arena.
Right.
Okay, much smaller. You could actually the band then was about the size of G.I. Joe dolls,
Right.
or something like that. But now they're like microscopic.
Right.
You have to watch.
Yeah, at the stadium.
It's stupid, and it would be loud, and you'd be meeting other people, and you'd be rocking out and everything like that. But that's not what concerts are anymore. They're like this festival, and people are like milling around, and what are you doing? What are you fucking doing? Everybody's there with their. Or the other thing that, I did this at the Black Crows. I looked through the viewer on my cell phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
at the
everybody's
band.
doing anyway.
Yeah, people do that. Like, really?
Oh man.
And I mean, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, most of these places don't even they don't want you tailgating or anything. Like, fuck that. There's no way, man. I would spend. I remember. I ended up ending a relationship over U2 tickets. I wasn't going. I just wasn't going on fucking principle. It was fucking stupid. Fuck you, Bono. You rich motherfucker. I don't have a problem with anybody making a living. I don't have a problem with anybody making a living at all. At all. And if Springsteen was going to charge $5,000 for I'm going to perform in a library, and
Right.
I'm going to tell stories that nobody else knows, and it's going to
Q&A.
be real intimate. And I'm going to do Q&A, and I'm going to sign anything you bring. That's worth $5,000 to
Agreed.
people
Sure.
who are hardcore Springsteen fans.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. But not to go watch you on TV.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm speechless. I
really.
I worry about our society that people are even
Consider doing
that
that.
shouldn't even be a thing. Like when the ticket prices came out, they were that high. They should be like,
Wrong.
fuck you. We're just gonna listen to the record. In fact, Taylor, I download your shit for free.
Zing.
I can watch any of your shit on YouTube.
Actually, I don't
I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
give you a goddamn dollar.
I don't listen to any of her music anyway. I listen to the cover by I Prevail. It sounds fantastic.
Justin Hawkins, I posted a link in the show notes. He has a little take on it. I don't completely agree with him either. Again, I think everybody's missing the point. Don't go.
Yeah.
Don't go. Just don't. I'm not trying to organize some big boycott of anybody. But just use your heads, guys. Most of us, if you had an extra $5,000,
Yeah.
there's something you could do something
Probably
with
get a new car.
Yeah. Right.
Mr.
Exactly.
Pittsburgh, what if you had an extra $5,000?
A new guitar, or 2 or 3 or 5.
Right. There's a lot better ways to spend $5,000.
I wouldn't
And
do
those
it on
you
that.
guys that are spending
whores.
20 and 30,000. I mean, there were always scalpers,
Yeah.
but that was
But
limited because
$5,000?
they had to get physical tickets too.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So they can't do what they can do now, which is they're probably, I imagine these resellers, they probably have back doors at Ticketmaster, people feeding them tickets, and everybody's making money under the table or off the books or whatever. Fuck you. And the other thing is the artists could put a stop to it.
Oh,
The
they're not
artists
going to,
could
though.
absolutely put a stop. They could. There's no reason why the artists couldn't go to the venues and work directly with the venues. Their management could do it and everything like that. Number one. Number two, the other thing that I would suggest, and I think this is a way better way to do it. I think it's more economical because everybody's talking about the high cost of touring, fuel, which makes everything like the hotel rooms go up.
Jace.
Instead of playing one night at the giant Guga Stadium, find a small arena and play 3, 4 nights, maybe 5 nights.
Yeah.
Springsteen has a residency in Pittsburgh. at
Right.
the AJ Palumbo Center for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And everybody can go see him, and even people from Cleveland can come and everything like that. And if you if you thought there was going to be an issue with tickets or whatever, you could limit them. You could say, well, you can only come, if you want to come to 2 shows, you have to buy that super in advance,
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
like whatever you can't so give everybody a chance, get everybody a chance to see. Because that I might go to, because then I would feel like I'm going to a concert and I'm looking at Springsteen. I'm not watching him on a television.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. There's better ways to do it. They would save money on fuel. They would
yeah.
save money on hotels and everything, because they could come. If you came to Pittsburgh and you were going to do a week residency somewhere, the hotel is going to give you a better deal buying 5-6 nights worth of rooms instead of buying just
Right.
one night. Mm-hmm. This is way better ways of doing this whole thing to give people a way better experience. I mean, what are you going to see? You're watching on TV, and then they have all this crazy electronic
Oh yeah.
stuff that's happening that's not real and doesn't have anything to do with the music. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tell you, man, I would really just wondered if Taylor just put together a 6-7 piece band and just went out and just played. Here's my songs. I'm just gonna play. Would it still get over? Would people still want to see it?
No.
I don't know.
I'm gonna say no because she has a whole stage show.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm all for, putting on a show, and I think what's happening with some of this stuff, it's just overshadowing the music. I mean, and one of my favorite bands was Rush, and you could make that argument about them, too, but I think that enough people knew they weren't like a big pop band, though,
Right.
Right.
So there's that might be a little bit of a difference. But I don't know if paid no. I had what did I have it when I went to see Snakes and Arrows? I had 4th row. I just paid the regular ticket price.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I've
There
seen
was-
Rush twice, and I think we paid $25 to see them.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like I don't know what I paid, $35, $89 maybe.
I mean, I was in
it
the
wasn't
lawn,
no,
but
it wasn't $100. I know what was.
No.
So, anyhow, see ya, Mr. Pittsburgh.
He'll be back. He's getting me an alcohol.
An alcohol. So, that's my sort of take on. I mean, I think we're kind of all in
like I
agreement that it's
said, I think
absolutely.
If parents are paying this amount of money for their kids to see Taylor Swift, you're fucking brain dead. I'm sorry.
Somebody needs to call CYS.
Yeah. Your kids do not get to fucking dictate what you do with your
That
money.
is like.
Thank you.
I'm back.
You can say no. I assure you, it's okay.
Oh yeah, it's very easy. I did it for my kids.
Before
Yes.
Yes.
there was Madonna
Yeah.
or Lady Gaga
Yeah.
or Cher or
Cher.
Diana Ross.
Oh, yeah.
Or Dolly Parton.
Sure.
There was Rosemary Clooney.
Clooney.
She was the hottie.
Mm-hmm.
She was the sexy singer, actress that all the guys wanted to get with. She was born. She on this day was at number 1 on the UK singles charts with "This Old House." The song was number 1 for Shakin' Stevens in '81, so somebody had remade it.
Yeah.
Her nephew George Clooney was a pallbearer at
Yes.
her funeral in
This
2002.
day in 1954. Yes.
This day in 1954. So going way back, and we're not even starting with the Beatles.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's get to the king of rock and roll, or what a lot of people call the king of rock and roll. We
He's
have
the king. There's other titles
There's
for
a
the,
king.
for the other guys. 1955, RCA Records purchased Elvis Presley's recording contract from Sam Phillips at Sun Records for an unprecedented
Precedented.
sum
yes.
of $35,000.
Unprecedented.
In September 1931, RCA Victor introduced the first
33
and a third RPM,
RPM
records
records.
sold to the public. And later in 1949, RCA Victor introduced the 7-inch 45 RPM fine groove vinyl record.
This was an era when the music industry, musicians, and music technology were all kind of under one umbrella. And it worked really good. It worked out awesome. They all kind of fed each other. They would see as music was changing, the technology would evolve. As the technology evolved, music would change, allow them to do more and more stuff. The long playing album, the LP, was a real revolution, and it really, you could argue that this is what allowed 10 years later the big classic rock bands to really be able to do what they did with album rock. But yeah, cool. That's an interesting statistic. Mr. Pittsburgh.
On this day, 1960, the Beatles played the Kaiser Keller Club in Hamburg, Germany, without George Harrison. Oh my God! Oh, I do remember this.
Humbug.
Oh my! The guitarist had been deported on this day for being underage.
What?
Oh, he was 17 and not legally allowed to remain in the nightclub after midnight.
I could understand why he would be asked to leave the nightclub, but deported, that seems a little rough.
Oh, poor
That's
baby.
nuts.
Maurice Williams and the Zodiac went to number 1 on this day on the U.S. singles charts with Stay, the shortest ever U.S. number 1 single at 1 minute and 37 seconds. So it's a one-hit wonder, the shortest ever, and it's called Stay.
Go.
Very famously remade by Jackson Browne
Yes.
on Loadout.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, for sure.
Go ahead.
1970, 2 months after his death, Jimi Hendrix was at number 1 on the UK singles chart with Voodoo Child, the closing track on Electric Ladyland, the third and final album by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. This was the guitarist's only UK number 1 single. Hendrix' solo on the track was named the 11th greatest solo of all time in Guitar World's 100 greatest guitar solos.
Interesting. On this day, 1970, your
We
friends...
skipped 1969.
I know. I'm like, oh, man.
kidding.
On this day, 1970, the Partridge Family. Yes, the Partridge Family, everybody, started a 3-week run at number 1 on the U.S. singles chart with I Think I Love You. The song was featured in the first episode of the Partridge Family TV series made by the same company that made the Monkees.
Nice.
Hey, it's the monkey.
They should have like brought those two universes together.
The Partridge Monkeys.
Yeah.
Well, they brought the Monkees on with the Brady Bunch.
right?
This day in 1971, Elton John kicked off a 13-date UK tour at the Coventry Theatre, promoting his new album, Mad Man Across My Daughter. The album cover for Mad Man Across My Daughter was embroidered over 2 weeks by Janice Larkham, wife of the album art director David Larkham. She used the back of an old Levi's jacket, and the original was gifted to John.
1974, Wilson Pickett was arrested in New York City for possession of a dangerous weapon after he pulled a gun during an argument.
Come on. Where's your sense of humor in New York? On this day, 1975, at the start of Elton John Week in Los Angeles, the singer received a star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame. Well, very good.
Speaking of piano men,
Yes.
on this day in 1976, the
What the fuck are you
The
talking?
Stranglers? The Stranglers?
Stranglers.
Okay. The Stranglers, supported by Chelsea, appeared at the Nashville, London, England. So Nashville is in London, England. I'm completely lost.
There's a lot of things
This
going
was
on there.
Billy Idol's last gig with Chelsea, who then went on to join fame in the punk band Generation X before becoming a solo artist.
Interesting.
Why do I get the weird ones tonight?
Fascinating.
1980, Don Henley was arrested after a naked 16-year-old girl was found at his home in Los Angeles suffering from a drug overdose. He received a $2,000 fine with 2 years probation.
Oh, Dawn. Hey, Dawn. What the hell's going on? On this day, 1981, Queen and David Bowie were at number 1 in the UK with Under Pressure. They recorded the song together when both acts were working in a Swiss recording studio. It was David Bowie's first released collaboration with another recording artist.
Sweet. This day in 1981, the lovely and talented Olivia Newton-John started a 10-week run at number 1 on the U.S. singles charts with the song Physical. The singer's 4th U.S. number 1 went to sell over 2 million copies, became a number 7 hit in the U.K.
Yep.
The guitar solo played by Steve Lukather.
Oh,
Of
fun.
course. Yes.
Absolutely.
1983, Michael Jackson's 14-minute video for Thriller was premiered in Los Angeles, directed by John Landis and co-starring former Playboy centerfold Ola Ray. The video contains a spoken word performance by horror film veteran Vincent Price. The video was filmed at the Palace Theater in downtown Los Angeles. The zombie dance sequence at the junction of Union Pacific Avenue and South Calzona Street in the East Los Angeles, and the final house scene in the Angelino Heights neighborhood at 1345 Carroll Avenue.
Well,
That's actually- that
that's
works.
L.A. Yeah, there you go. On this day,
Another
1980
Billy
a lot
Idol.
of Billy Idol. 1987, Billy Idol knocked Tiffany. That was nice of him. Billy Idol knocked Tiffany from the number one single. What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, I know what
Tiffany,
you. I heard what you said there, Lily. You're so silly. From the number one single position on the U.S. charts with his version of Tommy James, Moni Moni.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, Tiffany had been number one with another Tommy James song, I Think We're Alone
That's
Now.
hysterical.
Do you know what Moni stands for?
No.
Mutual of New York.
Oh.
Tommy was trying to figure out what to name this, like what to fit, and he looked out his hotel window, and it was Mutual of New York, but the M-O-N-Y was really big, and he's like, Moni. Yeah,
There
Moni,
it
Moni.
is.
It's Mutual of
I
New
thought it
York.
was something to do with money. So what kind of it is?
It
Kind of
kind
it
of
is,
is.
yeah.
On this day in 1988, Led Zeppelin guitarist Jimmy Page set out on his first ever solo tour at the Hummingbird, Birmingham, appearing with John Miles and the son of Zeppelin drummer John Bonham, Jason Bonham. Yeah, that was he did this record, the Outrider album, and if you guys haven't heard it, it's interesting. You should check it out. It's it was Jimmy, like it's no like real like band project. It's not the Firm. You know, with like not really anybody else famous, just him doing some stuff, and they had a singer, and it's pretty good.
Cool.
1990, Mick Jagger married Jerry Hall in Bali. The marriage was declared null and void on August 13th, 1999, after a judge ruled that the 6-hour ceremony in Bali was never registered.
Ha! Lucky! Get out of my house.
No alimony for you.
Oh, you want to do it, Lils?
Yeah.
God, Lily can do another one.
1991, Aerosmith made the guest appearance in the Simpsons TV animated comedy. Other acts who have appeared on the show included Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Smashing Pumpkins, Sonic Youth, U2, The Moody Blues, The B-52s, The Who, REM, Fish, Blink-182, Metallica, and The White Stripes. I actually have the Joe Perry figurine of the Simpson character.
Really?
Yes.
On this day, 1992, Charles and Eddie were at number one in the UK singles chart with "Would I Lie to You," the debut single by the pop Sue. Oh my God, I was doing so well.
Okay,
up
on
until
this day in
point.
1994,
Thank you, Lou.
After a
Thank
5-year
you.
wait, the Stone Roses released the single "Love Spreads."
Oh, I bet
In
it
true
does.
Roses fashion, the group turned down an appearance on the BBC's show Top of the Pops to promote the new single. I bought this album
Yeah.
because I heard the song on Quick Rock and loved it. And it is the best song on the album. These guys are like kind of like critics' darlings, and I mean, I think they're okay, but I never really was like loved them. But
Yeah.
the song "Love Spreads" is a great fucking song.
Sure does. 1995, legendary manager of Led Zeppelin, Peter Grant, died from a heart attack at age 60. Known as being one of the shrewdest and most ruthless managers in rock history, Grant secured 90% of concert gate money and intimidated record store owners who dealt in bootlegs. The former wrestler also worked as a film extra and bodyguard. During the early 60s, Grant worked as a tour manager for Bo Diddley, the Everly Brothers, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Eddie Cochran, Gene Vincent, and the Animals.
Nice.
Wow. On this day, 2003, record producer Phil Spector appeared before a California court and was formally charged with murder. B-movie actress Lana Clarkson, Mr. Fargus's wife in Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
Yep.
had been found at his mansion in February of this year with a fatal gunshot wound to her face. Jesus
Yeah, he's so
Christ,
psycho.
Spector. Spector pleaded not guilty to her murder during a brief hearing in
Alhambra.
okay, thank you. Near Los Angeles, and was released on $1 million bail.
$1 million.
Never kill a hot chick. That's my number
Yeah,
one
just don't do
rule.
that.
Shoot him in the face. That's like, come on, man.
Jeez.
Yeah, can shoot him in the arm.
Maybe.
2003, an acoustic guitar on which the late Beatle George Harrison learned to play fetched £276,000 at a London auction. His father originally bought the Egmond, is that what it is, guitar for Harrison for $3.50 or 3.5 pounds. Another item auctioned was a signed invitation to the post-premiere celebrations for the Beatles' Hard Day's Night film, which went for about 17.
That's cool.
Wow.
I'm not reading that.
Nope.
I'll do 2007. The Red Hot Chili Peppers were suing a U.S. network over the name of its TV show Californication, saying the title was immediately associated in the mind of the consumer with its 1999 album and single release. The band filed a lawsuit against Showtime Network, the makers of the TV show, which featured David Duchovny as a writer going through a midlife crisis. For some TV show to come along and steal our identity is not right, said the band's singer Anthony Kiedis. He described Californication as the signature CD, video, and song of the band's career. No, wrong.
I love that
Stop
show
yourself.
too, man. It was a fun show.
I never saw it, but I wanted to.
It was a
Yeah.
good show. I saw a few episodes.
Yeah,
I
it
saw
was
one
really good.
season, I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
2009, Peter Doherty was arrested on suspicion of possessing a controlled drug moments after escaping
Well,
a
if it was
prison.
controlled, like,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Moments after escaping a prison sentencing at a court hearing. The Baby Shambles singer allegedly dropped a wrap of little blue crystals when he was being frisked by security as he entered the court.
Hot.
Whiz. Stone Roses again. Guitarist
Yeah.
John Squire. Art studio burnt down on this day. That's too bad. And last one, American actor, singer, songwriter, guitarist David Cassidy died of liver failure at age 67.
Well, that
this day in
sucks.
2017.
I drink to that.
Fucked up.
Just a little.
Well, he went. Okay, remember when he went on Dr. Phil
Yeah.
and he has dementia and stuff. He didn't have
Yep.
dementia. He was
He
drunk.
was drunk. Yeah, exactly.
was
Oh,
telling
Lordy
everybody-
Jesus. Lordy
It's like that time I interviewed Leif Garrett, and he was supposed to be clean. He is not.
He was not clean.
Andrew Love of the Memphis Horns. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
John Rabbit Bundrick, American English rock keyboardist, worked with the Who, Free, Backstreet Crawler, Bob Marley. Happy birthday, Lonnie Jordan, American singer-songwriter from the American funk band War. Happy
Nice.
birthday, Gary Pill.
Oh,
I do not know
pill.
the answer
I
to
would
this.
say pill. Yeah.
He played with Sammy Hagar for a long time. Joined the band Boston. David Williams, singer, songwriter, musician, best known for his work with the prolific rhythm guitarist with acts including Earth, Wind, and Fire and Boz Scaggs. Happy
Yeah.
birthday. Livingston Taylor, singer, songwriter, brother of James Taylor. Asa Bebner, American guitarist, singer, and songwriter Asa Bebner. He was a member of the Modern Lovers, led by some bunch of people I don't know. Björk, happy birthday
Björk.
to Björk. Margaret, wow, say that 10 times fast.
Wow.
Margaret, happy birthday.
Ornoff's daughter.
Look at you.
That's a nice Italian name. Alex James, bassist with Blur, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Francis McDonald, drummer from Teenage Fan Club.
Carly Rae.
Carly Rae. Drew McFarlane.
Sure.
McFarlane, guitarist from Glass Animals.
Happy birthday, you sons
Okay,
of
guys,
bitches.
happy birthday to all y'all.
You sons of bitches.
All y'all.
All y'all. Go to Wolf's Customs, buy some stuff, or, get your guitar,
Your mouth
drum
harp.
set, your
Prettied
mouth
up.
harp, your jaw harp, your ass kazoo.
Oh,
Get
jeez.
a custom paint job done on all those wonderful things. LoudiniRockAndRollCircus.com is our website. Lots of cool stuff there, including our access to our private Facebook group, where all kind of cool stuff happens, as well as our old YouTube archive with everything we've ever done and interviews with all kind of cool people. So check that out at LoudiniRockAndRollCircus.com, RockRageRadio.com. Download the app. Lily?
My show on Thursdays is Hot Licks with Lily 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the free app Rock Rage Radio. I will be taking the week off this week for the holidays, so do not expect to hear me this Thursday. I will be back next Thursday, and
You'll be
I will have tons of new music. Like, the whole show will be all new music. So
Nice.
When you play new music, like what kind of bands do you play?
it's I go from classic sounding rock to like death metal.
Wow.
Anything
So
from
it's
that.
very eclectic.
It is. Yes, it's something for everyone on my show.
Okay, well that's and I like stuff like that because you might go, death metal, but then you might listen to something like this more classic rock sounding, and then this death metal thing comes on, and you go like, oh wait a minute, that's kind of cool.
I like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm trying to get people to listen to more stuff.
Be
you
more, be more open-minded.
Yes.
I appreciate that. That's very cool. Mr. Pittsburgh, anything you would like to add before we wrap up
I
today?
want to say one thing to our listeners. Please, I beg you, I beseech you. If you see Lou and I out, please say hello. Please?
Make a big deal about these guys.
Please?
They're awesome.
Jens
I know
is-
they don't have boobs.
No.
Jens are funny.
No.
You're so funny.
Yeah.
On that happy note, we will catch you all on the next Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
It's just your sacrifice. How long